So what had happened is that I shot a long video where I discussed the mistakes that I made as a master's student and the things that I did absolutely right. If I had put all the content together, it was becoming a very long video, and the video was losing its focus because I was talking two opposite things at the same time. Therefore, I decided to break the video down into two portions. The entire stretch of video was recorded in one go. So let us go back to the same classroom again and look at things from a different angle. So this is one of the other classrooms in the College of Business at UT Arlington. So here, if you see, wherever there is a cross sign is only the spot where students can actually sit. Okay, so this is where how we are maintaining social distancing. If there's a cross sign, the next one is right there. This is Chaitanya Sambhara, faculty at the College of Business, University of Texas, Arlington. So I told you the 5 things that I did wrong. Now I will tell you 5 things that I did very right in my master's program. First thing that I did right is that I focused on skill development. I had completely ruined my first semester as I had just discussed, but from second semester onwards, I started working very hard. I learned from my mistakes that I had made, and then I started preparing for my classes better. I worked on improving my background and my skill sets, and then I enrolled in many classes that I realized were very skill based. For example, I took classes like web programming, database management, advanced database systems, and because of these courses, I was actually able to get some interesting internships as well. The second thing that I did absolutely right in my master's program was that I gained valuable work experience. Now, as I just said, I took courses that were very skill based. Now, because of those courses, I actually changed my on-campus job. Earlier, I used to be a lab assistant in the Department of Computer Science, but then I was taking a database course, and because I had learned some basic database skills, I approached a senior girl who was graduating and leaving the university, and I asked her if she can help me replace her in her job. She used to work for School of Nursing as a database analyst, and then I approached School of Nursing. Actually, I asked her to introduce me to School of Nursing, and they interviewed me, and I was able to answer all their questions, and then they hired me as a database analyst. Now, I worked for School of Nursing for 1 year, and that 1 year experience of handling databases and maintaining the databases really helped me get 2 internships later. In fact, I worked as an intern at BNSF Railway in summer of 2008 after I had worked for the entire year of 2007 for School of Nursing. Now, at BNSF Railway, I was again a database intern. Now, all the skills that I got as an intern at BNSF Railway then helped me get my second internship at Georgia Pacific Corporation, which was right after my first internship had actually ended. Now, if you look at what all I did, throughout my master's program, I was working. Either I was working for the School of Nursing while I was a full-time student, because you can actually work for up to 20 hours while you're a full-time student in the US. Or if the semester was not on, I was working full-time at a company. In my last semester, however, I was working on my thesis, I was taking one course, and I was also working at Georgia Pacific Corporation as a part-time intern. To sum it up, during my master's program, I was very active, learning as many skills as I can and getting real world work experience. And all the database skills that I learned during my master's program came very, very handy during my PhD program when I was collecting large scale data sets, and it also helped me teach database course as a professor when I went to my first job at Miami University. Third thing that I believe I did absolutely right was that I took a lot of extracurricular classes. One thing amazing about American universities is that you don't have to just take the courses in the degree program that you're enrolled in. You can actually try and learn more skills. For example, if you look at Harnoor Singh, a Georgia State student, actually took Spanish classes. Now, he was not required to take Spanish class at all. It is just out of interest that he took such a class. Now, while Harnoor took a Spanish class, I was a pretty wild guy in my master's program. I took 3 extra courses, out of which I dropped out of 1. The first extracurricular class I took was public speaking. Although I thought it was a pretty difficult class, particularly because it used to be at 8 in the morning and I used to travel for 1.5 hours to get to that class, so I had to leave really early. But I learned some valuable lessons and some valuable skills in that class, and I used those skills when I became an instructor and a professor while I was teaching my classes. Understand how conflicts could arise in the transaction. You will know what a conflict is. The third thing, you will be the second extracurricular class that I took, but I did not enjoy it, was an acting class. I enrolled in an acting class just to learn how to face camera. After attending just 2 sessions, I dropped that acting class. The problem was that the instructor was very bored of being in that classroom, so he had no passion, and because he had no passion, I was also not able to inculcate much interest in that acting class, and I dropped out after just 2 sessions. The third extracurricular course I took as a master's student was salsa dancing class. For those who don't know what salsa dancing is, this is what it looks like.
You come over and start up a conversation with just me, and trust me, I'll give it a chance. Now take my hand, stop, open the man on the jukebox, and then we start to dance. And now I'm singing like, girl, you know I want your love. Your love was handmade for somebody like me.
And that was a lot of fun. Now I realized that even though I was doing all those body movements and turning around and whatever not, I don't think I used that as a skill anywhere in my life, but just being in that extracurricular activity actually activates your mind in such a positive sense, because dancing is not just a physical activity. It is actually a mental activity, because you have to watch your moves. You have to be prepared when you're not expecting the next move from the person, and you just have to observe what he or she is doing and respond accordingly. The fourth thing that I did absolutely right during my master's program was that I built cordial relationships with the professors. Now, while I was a master's student, in my first semester I had not done well, and professors knew what my performance was like, right? Now, I was on a mission to prove myself. Now, from my second semester onwards, I think I got maybe 1B in any class, or else I had mostly A's. And I was working my tails off during my master's program, and I used to talk to professors, and I used to meet them regularly. And then I made sure that they knew who I was. Now, these were the professors who later recommended me for a PhD program when I applied for a PhD program, because please remember, when you graduate and leave your master's program, if any time in future, if at all, you will need recommendation letters, your professors will be comfortable writing you a letter only if they know who you are. And the only way they will remember who you are is when you actually interacted with them consistently. See, now that I have been a professor myself, I have had around 700 students in my career. Do you think I remember all those 700 students? Absolutely not. I actually don't even remember who were the best students in each session. I remember only those students who were working hard, but at the same time, they used to come and see me and they used to talk to me. Now, truth be told, you also happen to remember the worst students, but then you don't want to be in that list, right? The fifth thing that I did absolutely right in my master's program was that I explored the world around me. Now, at Georgia State University, we had this recreation center which used to organize day trips, and they used to actually also organize 3-day trip, 4-day trip, a week-long trip, but I never went for those long trips because they were also more expensive. But I signed up for many day trips. For example, I went for many hiking trips, I went for a skiing trip, I went for a whitewater rafting trip, and so many such things. Now, while you're a student, and if you have opportunity to explore such things, you should always try and explore as many things as you can. So I hope that based on all these points that I just discussed with you, you will find at least 1 or 2 points that you can completely relate to, and you can incorporate those points into your career as a master's student in the US. I hope whatever I told you was helpful at some level. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind and God bless America.